This entire year, we've been talking about the rise of influencers hiding their relationships with brands and doing undisclosed ads or improperly disclosed ads. It's become a huge issue with the rise of TikTok, and we've been saying it's only a matter of time before the FTC finally starts catching on. Well, that time is here. The FTC has issued warning letters to a list of TikTok creators, and I have a feeling Macleod may be next. It's a mess, so let's get into it. Over this past year, more people than ever before have become aware of what to look for when you're trying to spot whether or not an endorsement on TikTok is paid. It's sad that people actually have to look for clues and figure these things out on their own because these influencers should be disclosing their sponsorships in a way that makes it impossible to miss. None of this hashtag brand partner hidden in a sea of hashtags only visible after pressing more, or hiding some quick overlay disclosure that blends in for 5 seconds and then that's it. There has to be both verbal disclosure and written disclosure both in the video audibly and in the first line of their description box. If you're advertising a product in your video that you were paid to advertise, you also have to talk about the fact that you were paid to show it off. It's so simple. We've known this for years now, but for some reason, these new TikTok influencers think they're totally exempt from these rules. I've been saying, and you guys have been commenting, about how it's only a matter of time before the FTC catches on, and that time has finally come. A few months ago, we talked about the new guidelines that the FTC released pertaining to TikTok and how they recommend disclosing on the app. Some of the things they highlighted were the fact that it needed to be said verbally, the paid partnership banner wasn't enough, and hiding your disclosure in any way was also not good enough. That's pretty much the majority of TikTok right now. I had a feeling that them releasing these new set of suggestions meant they were finally catching up and working their way over to TikTok, and that's exactly what they did. The FTC has named a long list of influencers in violation of their rules, and they might be facing a massive fine. Back in November, the FTC published an article titled FTC warns 2 trade associations and a dozen influencers about social media posts promoting consumption of aspartame or sugar. Letters say influencers failed to adequately disclose that they were paid by the industry. So this takedown is affecting the health and wellness influencers, which honestly makes a lot of sense. As much as I think the beauty side is a huge issue right now, the undisclosed ads and dangerous products being promoted on fitness TikTok is out of control, and it looks like the FTC is tackling that issue first. Apparently, there's a group of creators who are paid to promote and push the narrative that aspartame is safe and that sugar is safe by a sugar company, and they never properly disclosed that they were being paid to say these things. The FTC wrote, Federal Trade Commission staff sent warning letters to 2 trade associations and 12 registered dietitians and other online health influencers, warning them about the lack of adequate disclosure in their Instagram and TikTok posts promoting the safety of the artificial sweetener aspartame or the consumption of sugar-containing products. The letters to the trade group, the American Beverage Association, and the Canadian Sugar Institute expressed concerns that the organizations may have violated the FTC Act by failing to adequately disclose that the influencers were apparently hired to promote the safety of aspartame or the consumption of sugar-containing products, respectively. This action follows FTC's recent revision of the Commission's guides for endorsement and testimonials, and is a part of the agency's continued monitoring of influencer marketing. It's irresponsible for any trade group to hire influencers to tout its members' products and fail to ensure that influencers come clean about that relationship, said Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. That's certainly true for health and safety claims about sugar and aspartame, especially when made by registered dietitians and others upon whom people rely for advice about what to eat and drink. And obviously, this is a huge deal. I saw some of these videos before they were taken down and before accounts were made private, and it's actually disgusting to think people were watching these videos thinking they could trust someone who's a registered dietitian, and little did they know, they were being paid by these companies to push these narratives. The FTC named every influencer who was paid by the American Beverage Association and didn't disclose, and some of the names on this list are shocking. The FTC even published the letters sent to these creators and detailed what these influencers were saying, and it's bad. One warning went to a dietitian on TikTok with over 2 million followers, and it sounds like she went against the World Health Organization's recommendations when it comes to aspartame. They wrote, Dear Ms. Grisseau, you posted dietary advice on Instagram and TikTok endorsing the safety of aspartame. In a video posted on Instagram and TikTok on July 10, 2023, you disparaged World Health Organization guidelines regarding aspartame. Among other things, you asked rhetorically, why discourage people to (SIC) use non-sugar sweeteners when it's considered safe? And said that the WHO recommendation regarding aspartame was clickbait based on low-quality science. On Instagram, the post is available as both an Instagram video and as a reel. It appears that you were paid by the American Beverage Association, ABA, to make those posts. This is someone calling themselves TikTok's dietitian.
First red flag, their recommendation is based on evidence of low certainty, and it's considered conditional. But they love a good clickbait.
The funny thing is, she literally has a video on her page making fun of all these influencers who are paid to promote Bloom and how out of hand it is. But dare I say, promoting aspartame without disclosing that you are paid to promote it and calling the WHO clickbait based on low quality science is arguably a bit worse. Some of these influencers were even going against advice from recognized cancer research organizations. One letter to one of these dietitians said, you posted dietary advice on Instagram and TikTok endorsing the safety of aspartame. In one video posted to Instagram and TikTok on June 19th, you stated, sweeteners are still a safe and great way to reduce your sugar intake, and if you want more research, visit safetyofaspartame.com. In a second video posted to Instagram on June 29th, you disparaged guidelines released by the International Agency for Research on Cancer and stated that the IARC's cancer qualifications do not have any quantifiable significance, and that research shows that consumption of aspartame does not increase risk of cancer mortality. In a third video posted to Instagram and TikTok on July 13th, 2023, you disparaged the IARC's guidelines and also stated that the WHO and the FDA both reaffirmed aspartame's safety. If this isn't your thing, these safe products should be available to those who want to reduce their sugar intake. Also on July 13th, you posted a video to Instagram and TikTok in which you stated that you could consume 12 or more diet drinks a day without any serious risk to your health. And unless you're a rodent given a megadose, aspartame is likely not a large health risk. Each Instagram post is available both on Instagram video and as a reel. It appears that you were paid by the American Beverage Association to make those posts. It doesn't even stop there. The Canadian Sugar Institute also had two influencers post undisclosed ads regarding sugar being safe to consume, and they also received warning letters. According to the FTC, these influencers could receive up to a $50,000 fine for each offense if they don't make some changes quickly. Now, this situation is so much more serious than what we see in the beauty community. Not disclosing your partnerships for a mascara and falsely showing the results is bad. It's also not okay. But going against guidelines set by a cancer organization in the name of an undisclosed sponsorship is so much more serious, so I can definitely understand why the FTC seems to be starting with the health and wellness influencers. And I'm not here to argue about whether or not aspartame is something we should be worried about. I honestly have no idea. I don't think there's anything wrong with a dietitian sharing their beliefs from factual research they've done, but I do think it becomes a problem when they're not disclosing that they were paid by these companies who benefit from you consuming these ingredients.
The Washington Post just called out a bunch of dietitian colleagues for being paid by junk food industry. So I personally / professionally would not partner with, aspartame or Pepsi or sugar or whatever it is, because it just does not fit my personal and professional MO. Even if I fully agreed with the messaging or the research that they wanted shared, I just don't necessarily feel like these are industries that help public health, even if they are not necessarily bad. But if some of my colleagues want to disseminate evidence-based information or messages that fit their MO while being sponsored by one of these commodity boards, I don't see anything innately wrong with that. What ultimately matters is that the messaging or the research is truthful and evidence-based. But the other thing that matters just as much is that it's made absolutely clear that that piece of content is sponsored or paid by a brand or commodity board. Failing to disclose as a dietitian, as an influencer, as both, ultimately hurts us all. To wake up to this article, really sunk my soul. Because even though I fully agree with the outrage against failing to disclose, that is not okay. I feel like it painted us all unnecessarily or unfairly like a bunch of shills. And while I don't think that it fairly or fully represented the intentions of a lot of my colleagues, it absolutely does not represent me.
If anything, seeing that the FTC is finally catching on, it makes me think of what's going to happen to the beauty creators like Macleod and Glamzilla, who are still doing this to this day. In these letters to the health influencers, the FTC set clear guidelines on how they should be properly disclosing, and it's almost laughable because none of these beauty influencers are even coming close to disclosing properly. The FTC wrote, "First, the disclosure for your posts were not in the videos themselves. Viewers can easily watch a video without reading disclosures in a post text description. There should be clear and conspicuous disclosures in the videos themselves, for example, by superimposing much larger text over the videos. In your video, you made endorsements through both visual and audible means, and so the disclosure should have been made both in the video's visual and audible portions. Second, you relied upon the paid partnership disclosure tool in making your disclosures. The Commission has previously expressed concerns about the conspicuousness of such built-in disclosure tools alone. We think it is too easy for viewers to miss seeing the paid partnership disclosure in your post. That does not mean that you should not use such tools in addition to other disclosures. Third, some of the dietitians had disclosures like hashtag sponsored or hashtag ad further down in text descriptions of their posts, making them insufficiently conspicuous. When people view TikTok and Instagram posts, longer descriptions are generally truncated with only the first 2 or 3 lines displayed unless viewers click on the text description. In addition, the TikTok and Instagram Reels text description is in small print at the bottom of the screen, sometimes poorly contrasting and doesn't stand out. Videos have many competing elements. We therefore do not think that disclosure in a TikTok or Instagram Reels post text description is clear and conspicuous. And you guys know, the Michaelas of TikTok aren't doing any of this. Pretty much every single sponsorship on Michaela's page isn't disclosed properly. All she does is put brand partner hidden in her hashtags, and she never ever discloses it in the actual video. I will say, even though Alex still isn't disclosing properly in her hashtags, I was surprised to see that she started verbally disclosing the fact that a brand reached out to her and asked her to promote their product that she was pushing.
This is the L'Oreal Bright Reveal. So basically you just apply like 3 to 4 drops every morning and night. And this gives my skin a glowy finish. And L'Oreal sent me this product asking me if I wanted to promote it. I was like, I'm gonna try it out. And I have actually really been seeing a difference and I really love it. You guys know how crazy I am about skincare and my skin journey. I really would never promote a product that I don't actually really love. There's definitely a visible difference in the dark spots over the past month. I'll keep you guys updated on my journey, but I wanted to share this product with you that I love, that I hope you guys will love too.
Another huge factor I think we're going to start seeing a lot is brands finally stepping up and making sure these influencers are properly disclosing. The FTC also sent warning letters to all the companies that the health influencers were promoting without disclosing properly, and a lot of the fallout is going to come down on them. Paying one fine is one thing, but when you take into consideration how many ads they've paid for, if they're all in violation, that's going to be a huge fine for the company. I think that's why we've started to see brands like Maybelline making influencers disclose on screen with an overlay. They probably know the FTC is catching on to them, and it's only a matter of time before they start sending the same letters to all the beauty influencers and the brands that pay them. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.